afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining for the session of Azure Power Lunch. Today, we are going to be talking about Azure Managed Redis, and this is a new offering which just has gone into GA. So, here's a quick agenda. We are going to be talking about what's new, some of the features, and then we are going to be talking about the SLA, and of course, there will be a quick demo. So this is uh, kind of what we're going to be going over today. So let's get on with it. First of all, why you need another cache offering? We have Azure Cache for Redis. Basically, this Azure Managed Cache for Azure Managed Redis, it's built from ground up on Redis Enterprise. If you know that Redis, the other cache, Azure Cache for Redis, was basically built on top of the community version, you know, which is 406. So this one is built on Redis Enterprise 7.4. It's a built-in, it's basically provides you the Redis enterprise capability without going through the marketplace and getting the license and all that. And so that's the big feature here. For example, here this is the first offering which or first cloud provider which provides you Azure Enterprise as a managed cloud offering where you don't have to get the license and all that negotiation. You just get that service and use it, and we take care of anything else. Okay. Why when we talk about enterprise, what are some of the advantages? One thing is that for the same SKU, you may get up to 67% cost savings, you know, for the same memory size. That's the advantage. Number two, the throughput can be up to 15 times faster for the same memory size. That's a big thing. And if you have remembered with Azure Cache for Redis, there were difference between different SKUs. So for example, if you are using one SKU, it does support active geo replication. If you use another SKU, it does not. In this case, almost all of the SKU, except a few smaller one, supports all features. For example, active geo-replication, for example, semantic caching, for example, you have the advanced Redis data structure. All of these are supported um, across all SKUs and tiers. Okay. And then in terms of reliability, if you are using, first of all, zonal redundancy is built in. So you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to say, hey, make it zone redundant. It is by default zone redundant. So, and that gives you four nines, 9.99. On the other hand, if you go with active geo replication, you get five nines of SLA. Okay. And as I said, oh, by the way, one very important thing, it has built-in Entra ID support. So you can use service principals, you can use managed identity to connect to it, and you can disable the the Redis key based authentication where there is a chance that somebody put that key in the code, and that's how kind of it gets to hackers and things like that. So you don't have to use those keys. You can use a much more secure mechanism, which are um, managed identity or service principal, basically Azure Entra Auth. That support is there. And then we come to developer experience. As I already said, there's no marketplace required. You don't have to go through marketplace and get Azure Redis Enterprise. It's a one kind of just like any other Azure service. You go in, you create this Azure Managed Redis instance, and here you go. You have the Redis Enterprise experience, and it will be available in all region. I think since GA they have expanded the region, but the plan is to make it available in all regions. Any questions, folks? So let's continue going. Um, let's go to the next slide. Um, and as I said, this is based on the Redis Enterprise 7.4 version, and you get the best of all the features. Redis Enterprise, that's the best version of cache that is available. So think of it. Let's say that you are using Azure Cache for Redis, which is the community version 4.0 or 6.0, whatever you may be using, and you want to move to this one. Since the API support is all there, it will be just changing a connection string. Just change a connection string, and here you go. I mean, you can connect it because the feature support is all the same. It has support. Actually, it has support for some new feature. Okay, and why Redis Enterprise active geo replication? To me, that's the most important thing because I have some of the customers, large customers which needed that support, and they have to go to Redis Enterprise when using Azure Cache for Redis and get those licensing. And it was a little bit cumbersome process, but with this one, they, if they kind of migrate to Azure Managed Redis, there is all of that is taken care of it behind the scene. Okay, so I just want to provide how you choose proper tier or what type of managed Redis you want to be using. So there are two flavors. One is the in-memory data, where the data stays in memory. Okay, it does not. You basically, when you are connected to the Redis instance, all of the data is staying in memory. Gives you best performance and speed. Okay. On the other hand, there is also a flash optimized in which the less used data is moved to an NVMe disk, okay, to save cost because memory is expensive, disk is relatively cheaper. So basically, you have a combination of memory and disk, and that gives you huge sizes. I mean, you can go up to very, very large. Like I will show it to you. You can go up to at this moment 4.5 terabyte. Just keep in mind that the flash optimized is right now in public preview. Okay. In memory, most of the SKUs are GA. There are some SKUs which are in public preview. And for the memory type, there are three subtypes. One is the memory optimized, which is for the scenario where you need more memory, but you can sacrifice some performance. Okay. Large memory cache, that's where you use memory optimized. Then you have the compute optimized. That's where you need extremely fast performance. Your cache size is not that large. That's where you use the for the cache optimized, sorry, the compute optimized workloads. And then you have the balance. And I think in most of the scenario, you can start with balance. And just the good thing is that you can change it. So, for example, your workload at a time was using in memory and then you want to go to balance or you want to go to compute optimize, you can change it based on the characteristics of your work. Okay, so that's the beauty of it, and we will look in the demo in a few minutes as well. So that's how these tiers are divided. As I said before, in memory is it GA? Most of the tiers for in memory. In regards to the flash optimized, that is in public preview because Flash Optimize uses disk to scale out. So this is kind of a quick overview. You have Flash Optimize and look at that. The size of Flash Optimize, it can go up to around 4.5 terabyte. You know, that type of, I mean, if you need that type of cache, Flash Optimize is the answer. On the other hand, you have balance, you have the compute optimized, where you have more CPUs, you have the memory optimized, where you have more memory versus less CPU. So all of these combinations are there, and you can pick those up as you are building your managing your cache instance. And you can change it. There is no need to, oh, we are at this queue, we cannot go back. Just keep in mind, there are some restrictions. If you are doing geo replication, you cannot downgrade a SKU. Okay. You can always upgrade, but you cannot downgrade if you are doing active geo replication. So there are some restrictions that you have, and the documentation is there. So please feel free to take a look. And now this is here I want to present like kind of a quick feature overview. And I mean, at a glance, you can clearly see that all tiers pretty much support all features. Like, for example, private endpoint is supported across tiers. SLA is supported across tier. One of the feature which is not supported, for example, for Flash optimized, is the geo replication, which is not yet supported, or non-clustered instance are not supported. At the same time, there is one feature which is vector search functionality that is not supported for optimizer. The rest of the tiers, all features are pretty much supported, and that's a good thing because that tells you that you don't have to pick and choose and that you have to kind of move from one instance to the other and have downtime and things like that. That's the power of having kind of having this built-in cache and sorry, not built-in cache. Basically, it's kind of a cache that is built from ground up on enterprise and providing the uniform access of all features across different SKUs. Any questions, folks? Okay, so now let's come to active geo replication. First of all, please understand that geo replication, you can replicate up to 5 instances. Okay, so you may have one instance south central, one in east, one is west, one is north central. So you can have up to 5 instances that can geo replicate. And this is active geo replication. It means all instances are active. You are actively doing writes or across all instances. So how the consistency is maintained? Just keep in mind there is no synchronous replication. The consistency is eventual, strong eventual consistency. It means that eventually the data will be consistent. Okay, so that's how that, and you want to read about it, read about strong eventual consistency. How does it do it? There is no synchronous replication because that will impact performance. So just keep that in mind. In regards to, yeah, as I said, multiple uh, primary rights. So basically, multiple. So you can, let's say that you have a large application that is deployed in US, and one instances of that application is a web app. It's writing to East US. One instance is writing to West US, and they're all. I mean, this is a replica. They're talking to each other. All of that is happening, and in the end, with through strong eventually consistency, the data is being updated. Okay, so that's how you can achieve that, and with this, you get 99.999 of SLA. Okay? As I said, if zone redundancy is built in, I already talked about it. You get four nines of SLA when you have when you have um, baked in, built in, and get 5 nines if you are using active geo replication. Okay, so let's go into the demo. Any questions, folks, in the meantime? What we are going to do is we are going to create.
So Naveed, even
Please.
if my workload and my service is a single zone, but I utilize this service, it's going to be multi-zonal by default and with no extra
Absolutely.
cost, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Basically there
And
is no option to make it single zone.
okay, and what about the differences between like memory optimized and CPU? What does that mean if it's memory optimized or
CPU
CPU
optimized.
optimized? What's the difference?
Yeah, the access is faster. You need faster access.
I
Memory of
see.
CPU. If you need, okay, I mean, access is fine, but I need to store lots and lots of data. That's
I see.
where you will be using the memory optimized.
So when it's CPU optimized, it's like, okay, it means like faster CPU to access the
Yep,
data and to find it
that's
and
right.
look it up as well.
That's right. Yes, because I mean, think of it. I mean, you understand, man. The more
Yeah,
compute
yeah.
is there, and it's accessing the data faster compared to less compute, and that's there to
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So it's like other, like app services and stuff, same thing.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. I mean, and by the way, I will show it to you. I just want to show you in a minute a creation experience, and then we will look at one that we already have, and I will show you that you can change tiers and you can do. Hold on. So here we go. So I will show you the creation experience. Creation experience is very similar to what actually there are less things that you need to configure. So let's say if I wanna give it here and see. APL demo 001. So you see here, you can have in memory or flash. Just keep in mind, this is something that I don't think you can change after creation. You can have in memory or you can have flash. That is at creation time. But after creation, you can change things. So you see here, these are different options balance. So for point 0.5, there is no other option. But if you go to larger size, like 12 GB, you will see other option. You see, you have B10, which is 4 CPU, 12 GB. You have like which is balanced, memory optimized, 8 CPU, 12 GB. So you see there, I mean, you can play around with it. And by the way, interesting part is based on my experience with this, you can change it once you have created it. So that's the good thing. I mean, you start with a small one. As your application is growing or requirement changing, you can change these things. Okay. So that's that. And then it comes to networking. In the networking side, let it come up. You can have public
And the
endpoint.
first
Yeah.
one, is there a way to see the pricing or it's at the
I
end?
think it's in the end. It's in the end. It shows
Okay.
the pricing. Yeah. It
Thank you.
will show the pricing in the end. By the way, in regards to private endpoint, it will automatically disable the public endpoint. Just keep in mind. Okay. And all communication will be through private endpoint. So that's that. And then you can do the geo replication setup from here, create a new group, start assigning replicas to that group, and go from there. So I can, create a new group. If I do create it, it's going to ask me, hey, where you want to create the new group, and I will just give it a name like temp or something like that, and then I will enter a name here, and it's going to create that replica in other locations. So there's already a replica in East US. So what you can do is you can pick like Central US. Okay, things like that. So that's that. So very simple in regards to creation. So I'm not gonna do that. Let's look at the advanced. In advanced, there are some encryption things like you can do encryption at rest. You can use CMK for that. So you can bring your own keys and you can do encryption. And there are some things about modules. Okay. So you have these module that's a part of Redis Enterprise. You can use these modules and all of that for your use. So you can definitely do that. And then of course high availability. Oh, just keep in mind high availability is enabled. So let's say that you have a dev instance and you don't want to use high availability. If you turn it off, you will save some cost. Okay. So there is a cost saving that is there when you are creating it for and you want to turn it off. Recommendation is do not turn it off for production scenario, but for non-prod scenario, you can turn it off, and that will give you some cost saving. Okay. And then you have the uh, data persistence. Just keep in mind it's in preview, and you can say customer managed key encryption at rest, and that's where you can start marking and providing your managed keys with the keyword location and all that. I will never turn this off, access key authentication for enterprise scenario. I mean, enterprise use the built-in um, Entra ID authentication to access that. That is a much better way to access it. I mean, that is the recommended way of doing it, because with access keys, somebody puts that key in the code, and that code is checked in, and that caused so many problems because then somebody can take the key and misuse it and things like that. So that's that. So that's pretty much it in terms of creation. Then you go ahead and create it. It takes some time to get the creation done, so that's why I'm not gonna go into it. You know, go and create it. I already have an instance that is there, and let's take a look at that. So here we go. This is the instance that I have in South Central US, and let's take a look. How does this instance look like? So first of all, we talk about scale, like changing the size of the instance. So I can go in here and I can say I want to change. Oh, by the way, look, the price is showing up here. Okay, that tells you how much the price is. So let's say if I want to go with 12, once again, it's going to give me option. So you see, I can pick those up and go. Once again, scaling down is not supported. So you cannot scale down. That's one requirement. If you have a um, um, if you have a um, geo-replicated instance. So that is not supported. Okay. One thing I talked about identity that I want to mention. This is the identity here. Um, and what is meant by that? It means how you give access to this application. Oh, by the way, this is the managed identity. Let me hold on one second. Sorry, that's authentication. So I think you will be using this managed identity to access keys from the key vault for customer managed authentication. Okay. So if you want to give access, you can give either through a user or service principal, or you can use a managed identity. So what I have is I have a web app. This is my web application that I have created, and that web application is connecting to um, this cache. So let me show you this web application. I think it's here. Yes, this is my web application, and this is my. So as you can see here, I am not giving a connection string. This is just the Redis hostname. Once this thing come up, I will show it to you. You see here, this is just my Redis hostname, which is, I mean, anybody can see it. You won't be able to access it. What I have done is in this one, I have enabled managed identity. So it can access, um, and I have given this managed identity of this app access to the Redis cache. So this is the managed identity. And as you can see here, I have given this managed identity access. So if I go in here, this is the app, and I'm gonna refresh it, and you will see the timestamps changing, So basically what it is doing is reading a message, writing a message, and then updating when the last time was changed. So this is 7:31, and now this is 8:1. So you see what I'm saying? Very simple test. So basically this app is now connecting to the cache, writing some simple data just to prove the point that, oh, and by the way, this is happening over a private endpoint. So what I'm doing is I have this um, app service, which is VNet integrated, and then I have a private endpoint of this here it should be in networking. So app service is VNet integrated. And in the same VNet, you see here, this is VNet integrated. That's that. And then if we go back to the to this app service, sorry, this the Redis cache service, this has a private endpoint. Okay, so there's a private endpoint that is dropped in the same VNet where that app service is VNet integrated. That's how the connection is happening. Okay. And any questions, folks? Okay, I just want to quickly go into the active geo replication. So as you can see here, you can have up to 5 instances, and this is the replicated instance. So basically, this has the same data which eventually consistent as the data that is there in the source. So source is uh, this one at this moment, but both can be source because you can write to both the instances. And I can go into this instance. If I click on it, it will take me to that instance. It's the same, exactly same type of instance that we have that is on the South Central. So just to give you an idea how this kind of a replication, and as you can see here, this is cache queue balance, size 3 GB, high availability enabled, all of that thing is showing up here as well.
So, Naveed, so you said we can scale up, but we cannot scale down, right?
If
With
if if they are active geo-replicated,
oh,
if there is a
only
single
okay.
instance, yes. Sorry, just to be clear, you can scale down if it's a single instance. So ideally, when you are developing this app, you should be scaling up, scaling down, finding the best, um, the best queue. Okay. Once you have found the best queue, then you set up geo replication, doing all of that, and then lets you start your application starts growing. Okay. Then you can scale up, but you cannot scale down if they are geo replicated. If it is not, if it's a single instance, you can scale it down. Okay?
Let's say, Naveed, my application needs caching only like 1 hour or 2 hours a day. Is there a way to do dynamic scaling only for those 2 hours and then lower it? This way I can lower the cost.
Absolutely. Logic App is your friend, man.
Okay, okay. No,
Logic
I
App
just want to
with
see
PowerShell.
if
Yeah,
if there
there's
is
no
a
built-in thing.
built-in because there's
No,
some services have those built in to do dynamic sizing, but I wanted to see if maybe it's coming soon after this.
maybe. Yeah, that may be a feature ask, but you can do it through. There's other ways, as I said, Logic App. You can try to do it, but definitely, that would be. I think that is a valid feature ask.
This is awesome, man. Thank you.
It's a GA, so you can take advantage of it. And by the way, there are some other slides as well which talk about advanced Redis cache capability, Redis with AI, and then the pricing. As you can see here, this is premium P3. This is the original cache for Redis instance, and similar performance. And how much less is the cost? You know, so as you can see here, if you get to the same price, you get almost 5 times the performance for the similar price. Just to get an idea, like how much, how improved is this particular cache offering is. And that's pretty much it. I know we are over time. Any last question? Or any other questions? If there are no questions, thank you very much for joining and hope to see everybody next week for another session of Azure Power Lunch. And have a wonderful rest of your day and a great weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.